Hello guys and welcome back. This is Mr. Siege. Now today I'm going to try and get to the bottom of which is the best civilization for a siege player or a siege main like myself. And I think this is between two different civilizations really, in my opinion. And I would say France for the 3% health and 20% extra healing speed, which I think is absolutely huge and very underrated in the Rise of Kingdoms communities. And the second is a new civilization, the Maya civilization, which again it's sort of untested, and ultimately we need to see which is going to give us the best reports on the field because everyone wants the best reports you can possibly get. So which is going to cause more damage to the enemy? Now, I know in this test we're only doing results at melee range. You're not firing at range. And I think the results could differ at range. But this is all we can do for now. I am not going to go into practice AOO, and I'm not going to switch civilizations just for the sake of it. This is an initial test, and I think if Maya civilization seemed way better in terms of results, then I probably would go and do the test in game. But that's what this video is all about. So, let's go in and check out and see what the results give us. Now, the first test obviously I'm going to do is going to be against Zhuge Liang and Herman. Now, I'm just picking a pretty popular field march out there in the game right now, and this is a decent start. Now, this is the best 1v1 siege pairing that we've got right now, is Cordoba, Gajah. Now, this is the pairing I would think that the Maya civilization would basically shine the most on, because 3% ranged normal damage, or normal damage of any type, will affect smite damage. So this should be 3% all damage. Now, the first result, 29,000, 30,000 to 17,500. Okay, it's an easy win, but it's not about the win, it's about the results. Second result, 31,000 to 16,000. And after all these results, we're going to look at comparing them to the Maya civilization. Obviously, we're starting with France first. And for the final one, 30,000 to 18,000. So now we're going to change the civilization to Maya civilization, and we're going to check out the new results. Exactly the same test. We're not changing anything else. And again, they look about the same. The results are very, very similar. 29,000 again to 18,000 in, 19,000 there. We're just blasting through these reports, and when I put it into a table, we'll then be able to see the comparisons between them. 29,000 again, 17,000, 18,000. At the moment, they're looking very, very similar. So, that will have an effect on the summary at the end of this video as, you know, is it really worth it? 31,000, 16,500. So that was the last one. Now, put it into a table. Let's go and have a look. So these are the results. I know it's a very confusing table. I've not done a great job of these tables, but we're going to look at it anyway. So as you can see at the top, Cordoba, Gajah with the French civilization. Cordoba and Gajah with the Mayan civilization on the right-hand side. And these are all the results. So ZL obviously means Zhuge Liang, and the C is for Cordoba. So these are the severely wounded units they're taking. 29,770 there for Zhuge Liang, 17,492 from obviously the reports we've had. Now at the bottom, you can see the average severely wounded units. And I'm putting the severely wounded units because at the end of the day, when you're in KVK, it's all about doing the most severely wounded units you can do to the enemy, getting all those kill points, getting those kills, building that up. But also, taking less severely wounded units is also important. Now, on the bottom left column, Zhuge Liang took 30,115. And on the Mayan, he took 29,869. So, with the Mayan civilization, the Zhuge Liang actually took less severely wounded units. And in fact, the Gajah march with Mayan civilization also took more severely wounded units. So the Mayan civilization was actually worse. Now, again, this is only over 3 battle reports. We could have done this over 100. I haven't got the time for that, but it could have been a big difference, if you're doing it over a larger amount of reports for a better average. Now, we're going to do this test again, and I wondered how it would be affected if we used a different march like the Huo Nevsky. Obviously, a pretty strong march, still a very strong march these days. Nevsky is a very strong commander. Now, first report, 29,000 to 20,000 or 19,000. And okay, we actually won that one, which is good. Again, winning and losing doesn't matter with these tests. 29,000 to 19,000 again, very, very similar report. And yeah, we're back on France, so still doing well with this 3% health, 28,000, 20,000 that time. So that's it for France, and we're going to switch it over to the Mayan civilization and do 3 more tests. And maybe we can see some differences now. It's not obvious. It's really not obvious which is better. We're still in the red, nearly 30,000 to 18,000. 18,000 is quite a little bit less actually, because there were 19,000 severely wounded for us before. But these tests are very varied, so it's not perfect. 28,000, 21,000. And the last one, so last test with the Mayan civilization against the Nevsky, and that again is 29,000 to 18,800. So let's go look at the table again. And this time, from the bottom left, Huo on average took 28,885,000 severely wounded troops. But this time with the Mayan civilization, he took about, not even 100 more severely wounded units there. You're looking about 60 or so on average more severely wounded units with the Mayan civilization. Slightly better. But what we can see is with the Mayan civilization, Gajah took about 400 less severely wounded units, which again, it's not a huge amount on average. So honestly, very little difference so far with this. Let's go and try out the newly released John and Stephen March against the Nevsky. I think we'll use that as a ballpark figure now and see how that does. So here we go. Everything exactly the same. We're going to start with France again, and let's start this battle and see the report. Now, I was actually very surprised by the results here. So John and Stephen got slapped every single time by the Nevsky, and you wouldn't imagine that would happen with the brand new siege commanders when, Gajah and Cordoba were out a while ago, and they're holding up extremely well. They're still doing absolutely fantastically on the field. It's been a whole year pretty much since Cordoba and Gajah came to Rise of Kingdoms. And as you can see, lost again. We only just got Huo and Nevsky into the red zone. Yeah, you can check out the reports. We're going to look at the table again in a minute. So not to worry if we're going through this a little bit quickly. It's pretty boring stuff, I guess. 16,000 to 32,000. That's nearly 2 to 1 for the Huo Nevsky. Just absolutely slap there. Hopefully, the Mayan civilization is going to do much better, but from the looks of it already, it isn't. Battle report: 16,000 to 32,000 again, and to be honest, it's very similar every single time. Getting 2 to 1 trades. This Huo Nevsky. 17,000 that time to 32,000. That was slightly better, but still getting smashed off the park. Final one, 16, near 17,000 again to 32,700. So let's compare the results. So with France, Huo on average took 16,631 severely wounded, compared to the Mayan civilization, where he did actually take more. The Huanevsky took 156 more severely wounded units on average, which is absolutely nothing, guys. Absolutely nothing at all. But with the Mayan civilization, John and Stephen actually took more severely wounded units themselves, so not an improvement. And there's absolutely no difference at all with switching these civilizations. From in terms of severely wounded units and the amount of troops we need to heal in the hospital, absolutely no difference at all. It's bang on similar. So one more test. We're going to try the original Margaret and Babur against Nevsky and just compare the results again, just in case there's anything that could change in these tests. So let's swap them over. There we go, Margaret and Babur. We change the civilization quickly, actually. Put it to France, and off we go. Now, this actually is a lot better than the John Stephen. It's actually really close results. 21,000, 28,000. Definitely not as bad. And that's actually one of the worst ones that we had with this test, which is pretty good. Can't argue with that. And this one's really, really close. 23,500, 27,500 almost. A lot closer there. Now we have got a few more troops because obviously in the talent trees. Again, another very close result. And in fact, are we going to win here? Yes, we've still got some remaining troops, but the results are very even as well. Pretty similar in terms of severely wounded units. So switched over to the Mayan civilization, and if there's any test or report we could do, I think this is going to be, the defining factor of whether you're winning or losing a battle with this Margaret and Babur march against Nevsky, just because the battle is so close. We won the first one and then got smashed pretty much on this second one, 20,000 to 28, 29,000 almost. And the final test, can we clinch this one? Yes, we do. We actually beat the Nevsky again. But I think you could run this test 1,000 times, and on average, I think the reports are going to be very, very similar. So let's look at this table. So the Margaret Babur, obviously on average, did do worse than obviously the Nevsky. And on this first one, on average, the Huo took 23,405 severely wounded units. When switched to the Mayan civilization, the Nevsky actually took less severely wounded units. So not as good there in terms of actually giving severely wounded units to the enemy. Again, very close. It's 80. Just 80 troops difference, which is absolutely nothing at all. And comparing how many troops Margaret and Babur lost, 27,155 to 26,700, 450 troops difference. It was actually, yes, slightly better for the Mayan, but very, very slightly indeed. And that brings me on to the whole summary for picking your civilization for a siege player. I think in terms of damage output and really the amount of severely wounded units we receive in terms of this test on the battle simulator, I know it's not perfect, but I think it's the best we can really do without trying in game, which is going to be very costly on credits and stuff like that. Yeah, they seem very, very similar indeed. But one thing I would say about this is that France, with the healing speed, is definitely the civilization you guys need to pick. Like, you'd be using less speed ups, using France, and really having no difference in the field at all in terms of your results, like your battle results. But by the looks of this test, and I think this test is going to be fairly accurate. And I think, if you're watching this video and you are a siege main, stick with France, and you really can't go wrong. I'll be sticking with France. It's a really strong civilization. That 3% health is just the best we've got for now. With that great healing speed, which is going to help you save on those speed ups all through those KVKs. So guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. This is me, Mr. Siege, and bye bye.